Hey there, this is episode 25 of the Sexcapade Chronicles, and I'm here with Lisa. And today is the anniversary,
National Private Investigators Day. I didn't know that was a thing. I actually Googled it because I saw it on Instagram. And I was like, wait a minute. And I Googled it. It's a day, so.
And so I got that confused because our 1 year anniversary party is coming up for Pink Lady. So to me, they're kind of like 2 weeks apart. So
and my birthday is also the day before my anniversary of the business.
Yeah, so it's kind of like all wrapped into one in my mind. So happy Private Investigators Day and early anniversary and early birthday. It's going to be quite the celebration, as I'm sure that's evident.
Right. I'll just claim the next couple of weeks.
That's what I do. Like I get a birthday month. The whole month was devoted to me. Or actually the week after. Whatever. Okay, so why don't you talk about a little bit about what you're going to do for your anniversary party?
For the anniversary, it's kind of, it's my birthday too, but that happens every year. I don't really care about that. I'm getting a year, I'll be 42. I don't fucking care. I'm not celebrating turning 42. I celebrated turning 40, that's where I stop. But I'm super excited because the day after my birthday, I was licensed by the state of California. They thought this should have a license to be a private investigator, so yay me.
It's like I feel like credentials, like they gave me credentials, the state of California to teach.
Someone wasn't paying attention.
Actually, I knew someone in the credential office at that time that expedited them.
See, I knew a PI, he's been a PI for over 20 years, so he helped.
See, like this was 16 years ago. I was still well behaved and not drinking. So little did they know.
Oh shit. So I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be at Hussex's Tap House, Clarksburg.
Yeah, Clarksburg.
I always want to say Clarksville. That's not a thing. Clarksburg.
Clarksburg. Yes.
So Arnie States is going to be there. I'm super excited. Legato whiskey. Hopefully they can't serve any alcohol. They can't do a tasting because of licensing issues, but hopefully they'll be able to come out and hang out, hopefully get some swag away or something. My tattoo people, Body Bazaar, love them. Hopefully they're going to be able to come out and hang out with us. It's going to be fun.
And I'll be there, drinking excessively. Apparently it's going to be wine day for me because I don't drink beer, but we'll see.
Wine slushies.
Wine slushies, this is true.
And you don't have to pay the $20 at the fair.
The state fair. I mean, it ends in a few days. I didn't go. Did you go?
No, I think I'm going to go Friday.
It's going to be like 105, of course, at least it's going that day. The hottest day.
The hottest day, I will be there.
I felt like I just had to check a rash I have, heat rash basically. I'm like, what is wrong? I went out the night before for the movie premiere and everyone's outside and it's over 100 and I felt so bad. I'm like, I can't be outside.
Right.
And I had to keep going back and forth and I was sweating before we went in the studio on Monday and I was like, I can't do this. I'm really gonna die. I've had heat stroke, people. Seriously.
You texted me the other day saying you went for a run and you were gonna die. I'm like, you're not gonna die.
I might, because during Huntington Beach half marathon I had heat stroke and I continued on against doctor's advice and ended up at the hospital. So, and it was in the 80s next to the beach. I mean, my body is not acclimated. All this fatness that is under as insulation means menopause does not allow for my body to give off. I'm like a furnace. I've been told by men that sit next to me. I'm always giving off heat.
I am too.
That must be nice to be able to cool your body in a normal fashion. Miss Skinny Minnie over here.
I do love the heat and absorb the sun. If I could just lay in the sun, I'm happy.
Yeah, you're like a reptile.
I'm a lizard.
Yes, exactly. I'd be a dinosaur, but that's fine. Okay, so Mark was at the premiere of Jurassic Park at Universal Studios.
Right.
I love Universal Studios. Have you ever been?
Oh yeah, we go either Universal Studios or Disneyland every year.
Okay. So
last year we picked Universal Studios. That ride wasn't open yet. We did take pictures with the huge dinosaur that was there.
Okay. So as a kid, I have dinosaur tattoos, we could get into all of that, but yes. So having dinosaur tattoos and such is kind of an odd thing.
A little bit.
But as a kid, I was obsessed with them. And I could read all the names and such. It always fascinated me. I wanted to be a paleontologist. I don't know why, because like, apparently you go by yourself on these missions and dig in the dirt. Well, actually, that sounds like what I did as a kid to piss off my mom. And to put me in Nordstrom clothes instead of Target. Maybe this makes more sense now. Anyhow, happy birthday to my brother. Yesterday was his birthday. Arnie says happy birthday as well. I know you're a huge fan. So, you know, I know we're not currently speaking, but I do love you. Want to put that out there. You know, it's his birthday, and it kind of made me sad a little bit. You know how it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, family, drama, you know. So let's talk about sexcapades.
Yes.
Okay, so, have you ever answered the phone during sex?
I don't think I have. I don't think so. Okay, also when I was younger and doing my whole shit show, there wasn't cell phones. We had pagers.
Okay, well...
Since then, I just keep getting married over and over again.
You know, we'll get back to that in a second, because I have a question about that. But, like, I've answered the phone during sex on numerous occasions over the years. Mm-hmm. Now, apparently, this is frowned upon in the British culture, I found out.
Probably any culture.
I'm a busy woman.
You know what? It's multitasking.
You know, like, what is your friend calling that, like, is, like, really tired and about to fall asleep on the freeway and, like, is asking you where the closest motel is or hotel is? Like, I answered the phone. And then I told the person I love them because they matter to me and I didn't want them to drive off the road.
Right.
So, apparently, when the person put their clothes on and then, like, basically banished me, which is how I ended up sleeping in my car that night, I kind of really started to think about...
Did the guy think that you were saying, I love you, and talking to this person because, like, that was your husband or boyfriend? He was like,
he asked me. No, he asked me. He's like, so you're married or, like, have a boyfriend? I'm like, no, that's, like, my person. Like, you know, like, I stay at his house in Tahoe. It's a good friend of mine. Like, it's not like that,
right.
You know? But apparently, like, because I answered more than once, that was, you know, not an appropriate reaction. So I think we should do a poll, actually. Is it, like, bad etiquette to answer the phone during sex? I think that this will be me only by myself.
I don't think people do that generally.
I multitask well.
There you go.
So we asked you in a poll about vulnerability. Mm-hmm. So I saw this video as a TED Talk, and it talked about vulnerability is like the number one thing you can do to show strength. Mm-hmm. This has been a struggle for our entire lives.
I don't like to be vulnerable. I like to be tough, and I can handle it, and I don't need anybody, and I can do it on my own. That's my personality. So being vulnerable, I don't like it. We talked about this at lunch the other day.
Yes,
how I'm getting to the point where I'm like able to say, you know, what I need and how I'm feeling.
Yes, we were like so calm at lunch. It was very odd.
It was nice.
Yeah,
we were both in a good place and just
that was Monday.
hiding from reality.
Reality apparently that would occur. Well, vulnerability was always like one of those things of like suck it up, but emotions like weakness. And so to me, I was associated vulnerability with being weak.
Right.
During treatment, I learned that it's like this the opposite. But I wondered like what like people actually think, because like I was raised in a household where that wasn't acceptable, and it's still not, which is why we don't talk.
Right. I guess growing up, when there wasn't a lot of emotion. It wasn't like a bad situation like you. We just kind of all did our own thing, and it just wasn't like a huggy, lovey, kissy family.
Yeah.
So I don't know, getting older and then like, you know, just having shit happen to me and I just kind of put up a wall. Mm-hmm. I've just never liked it. You know what? I still don't like it. I don't like being vulnerable.
No, you don't at all.
I don't.
We were in the car the other day, like 7 a.m., like on Monday, and like I was like, "You're doing so good. You're telling me all this, you know."
This is me. I turn into a 2-year-old, and I'm like, "No, I don't need you. I don't need anyone. I don't." I'm a big girl. I turn into a pouting 2-year-old.
Okay, so like the premise of doing this, so to begin with, like the Sexcapade Chronicles, was to be vulnerable,
right? and to show people that they're not alone. It's like I think both of us, we want people to know that they're not alone, and we all go through shit. Yeah. We just need to go through it together.
Kind of like one of those things of like everyone thinks they're the only one, and like more and more I talk about having PTSD and trauma. Mm-hmm. Like I realize everyone has trauma, and everyone thinks they're the only one that's fucked up by their trauma. and is like carrying that weight around. And I was like, what the fuck happened to the world?
You know, so on the way here, I told you I was talking to, I'm a reality TV junkie. There's 2 shows, 90 Day Fiancé and Life After Lockup, which has turned into Love After Lockup. It's a whole thing I do. I have problems. But I was talking to Tracy and Clint from Love After Lockup on the way here, and we were talking about, because she's like, oh, you're a private investigator and wanting to know about me. And I'm like, look, I was a drug addict at 16.
Yeah.
I fought through shit. I was hooked on meth for almost 5 years. Had a shitty marriage. And basically we were talking for almost a half hour, and what we came to is people need to stop being assholes towards each other.
Yeah.
We just solved like the whole world problems.
Yeah, basically.
Just stop being assholes and be understanding. And she was saying how she's offered like pickup girls that are like, you know, hooking on the streets and like give them a ride somewhere because she's been there and she knows how bad it sucks.
Yeah. I think that when we talk about the vulnerability aspect though, like to us it's like, you know, like we journey together. Like we would have not have done this like if we had not met.
Right.
Basically. And like I get messages every single day from people being like, can you help me? Like, who'd you see? Where do I go for treatment? I have a friend that's doing this. Not understanding like what they're doing and why. Like every day we actually have made a difference by showcasing our fucked upness, I guess. Like, but it's also that part that makes us good is like we're damaged and hurt, but we're still great people.
Right.
And then people don't know that you can have both. That they're not one or the other.
Yeah, just because you make mistakes when you're younger, just because you've been abused, just because whatever shit happened, it doesn't make you. It makes you who you are to an extent, but it doesn't define who you are.
Yeah.
Like, we don't walk around, we're victims.
No, we don't. And, like, you know, this week I actually talked about the assembly bill that I've been working on for quite some time that I didn't make public knowledge because I wanted it to be, like, done and then be able to say I did it, you know? And for me, it was a very vulnerable process of having to read all these articles about how many people, because of mental health, are in prison or on the streets.
Right.
And like the statistics, like and being assaulted and like the trauma and like I don't know anyone that's like not been a victim of assault at this point, you know. And why are we not talking about that? Like why are we not helping people recover instead of like allowing them to go down the road of destruction?
Right.
Because that's what we do. We self-destruct slowly, little by little, drugs, alcohol, sexcapades, risky behavior. Like why don't we give them mental health services?
Right.
From the people who are convicted of doing those horrible things.
Right, because a lot of it, I mean, stems from assault or abuse or something. I mean, I didn't pick up meth one day like, I'm gonna fuck up my life really quick here. There was something, and I was drinking. Shit, I thought blackout. I thought when you drank alcohol, you blacked out. I thought that was normal because I was drinking so much as a teenager. Into my 20s. Sometimes occasionally still.
But that's like, okay, but there's pain.
There's a reason, yeah.
And that's the thing is, like, I wanted people to understand that, you know, people are so upset about Sacramento and how many homeless. I'm like, you know how many have substance use problems and everything else? Because that would have been my life had I not had the support and friends and being able to have come from a wealthier family, you know, like, I knew where to go, and I went to the Assemblyman McCartney, like, to get help, to be able to stay alive. What happens to everyone else? You know, like prostitution, drugs, like, you don't care, because you're trying to stay alive.
Right.
All those people that are homeless or in prison are just trying to stay alive. Think about that as a society, though. Yeah. All these people tried to survive. They didn't maybe make the best decisions, but they did what they had to do. And people bitch and complain about how much it cost. How much would it cost to like get them help in the beginning? Right.
If help was there from the beginning, because I know I told you that when my teenage, well now she's an adult, my 18-year-old, when she was going through, she started doing drugs young, and I didn't know. So by the time I kind of put it all together, she'd been doing it for a while, and I tried to get her help, and I couldn't get help. It was really hard. Once she was in juvenile hall, then they're like, here's all the help, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? If I could have got this help 2 years ago, she wouldn't have had to go in, juvenile hall in 2 different counties.
Right. So so people want to know like what to do. Well, what to do is when someone is a victim of a crime, you give them help. I mean, because like our society is not going to be less like filled with crime. But you could have more functional people that are nicer to one another and not acting out.
Yeah, and we were talking about, building homes for the homeless. Okay, that sounds like a great thing. So what are you going to do? You're going to put a bunch of people who have mental problems and drug addicts in a house together.
Or you could give them mental health services while they're there and help them get jobs and get on the right medications and then make them functional members of society. Call me crazy. That sounds like a better plan. I don't know. Like,
my dad, he chose to be homeless, and it was a choice because of his drinking. Mm-hmm. There was a house he could have lived in. They're like, you can live here rent-free, just don't drink. And because he wasn't getting help for the drinking, he was like, fuck you, and went and lived on the streets.
But there's always a reason that people become addicts. There is pain that you're trying to escape from until you can't anymore, and then you're hooked on something because that's how you cope. And so if we were able to give people the mental health or the treatment services, because like, you know, a lot of the treatment facilities have both because they go hand in hand, mental health and abusing substances,
right.
kind of like that's synonymous.
Yeah, the counseling that my daughter was able to get, and I was pissed at first because it was family counseling and I had to do it with her. I was like, she wasn't even living with me at the time when she did all that shit. Why do I have to be involved? And I was pissed. By the end of it, like, I was in tears, the counselor was in tears, because we had bonded, and I was given tools to help her, and my other kids, honestly. I mean, just in life. So, if it was, what I liked about it, it addressed the issues. It wasn't, don't do drugs are bad.
Yeah.
Because, well, that's common sense.
Yeah.
But it's you know, why? And you know, she would bring something up to my daughter would be like, well, I don't want to talk about it. She was like, perfect. That's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because that's where the pain is. And it incorporated real life and, like, getting jobs. And it helped her as a person. Yeah.
And I think that you have to build up that relationship, though. Like, you know, like, I don't trust easily. Like, everyone thinks that I'm just a shit show, and that's fine. Like, people are like, you wrote a fucking assembly bill? Like, where did that come from? I have a political science degree. I interned in Washington with my political science professor.
And she didn't want to put it on Facebook.
No,
because she didn't want the whole, look what I'm doing, look at me.
It's true.
And so I was like, no, fucking put it on Facebook. Like, that's amazing. You be proud of it.
But to me, it was like one of those things I did, like, because of the amount of pain I was in and the struggle I was in, I wanted to make sure that I could affect change if I didn't make it. Because, like, for so long, I did not think I was going to make it.
Yeah.
And this started, like, a couple of years ago, like, this idea, but, like, I didn't have the tools because I wasn't, like, mentally there because I was still living in my personal hell of pain. But when my professor came to town, you know, that was a big deal for me. And then, like, I emailed it to her. Professor Haltman, love you. And being able to, like, she's like, this is fucking amazing. Like, to hear that, like, feedback from someone that I value and, like, who is so, she's on MSNBC, Fox News, every channel as a commentator about politics, say that, like, that meant, like, I did a lot of research, wrote another master's, basically, and I did it only for others, you know, that have been victims.
Right.
And I did not want to have people publicly know about this, by the way. I mean, it's making its way to all the right people, but I did it because that's who I am.
Right. And you didn't do it you didn't want National Jen Bryan Day.
I don't care which person takes, anybody can take credit for it. Like, I don't care if I ever get credit for it. That's fine by me. Like, I just wanted people to know that, like, people cared.
Right.
And, like,
and that's why I wanted you to put it out there on Facebook. It's so that people can see, I mean, for one, you're special. You're not just, you know, party girl. You have a brain, and people need to see that.
I think that, you know, being vulnerable means then you're open to critique, and I think that I've always hid behind the party girl thing because I'm good at that, and that's what my parents kind of have highlighted for me as my good attributes.
Right, and you're able to control how people see you. If you put it out there, I'm a Hot Mess Express, then you kind of control how people see you.
Yeah.
And their expectations are lower because you're the fun party girl.
Okay, so I graduated college in 3 years with honors. I went to 3 colleges at once, and then I went to grad school for 7 years straight while teaching full time. So I am not dumb, despite how I may seem. It's one of those things where I would rather people think that because then their expectations are lower.
Right.
But people are always, like, shocked I'm nice in person, and second of all, that I'm intelligent. I don't know why that you know, shocks people. If you can, like, exist and do all these things, you can't be dumb.
Right.
Like, and I'm not saying dumb like dumb blonde, but, like, you have to have had some sort of basis of education.
Right.
I mean, people don't even know where to start with an assembly bill. Like, what do you do? Like, you get the paperwork from an assemblyman. Like, the forms. Step one. I don't know. It's just one of those things of being vulnerable and putting that out there. That was really hard for me, but you encouraged me. So I really appreciate that. I think the cost of being authentic, as we talk about, is sometimes higher than I've realized.
Right.
Living my best life means that I get criticized a lot. I get negative feedback.
Yeah. How do you want to approach this?
So, there's a different standard of behavior that is expected between the two of us in our company lives, our personal lives, of what we can say.
Right.
I found this out the hard way.
I think, okay, basically I attacked a hotel because my shit was stolen. They're like, oh, your shit grew legs walked out. Well, sorry. And I put it on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Within 17 hours, they're like, here, take some money and stop talking.
And I was upset at first because I was like, this doesn't look good for us.
Right. As a private investigator, I think people were like, oh shit, like she kind of is badass. Because I post a lot of silly stuff about being sarcastic and inappropriate. But when it comes down to it, I try to be a badass.
Yeah, and you stood up for yourself, and
right.
I was worried about like how I'm seen constantly and the expectations that go along. Well, what a hypocrite am I? Like, because like last Saturday when things did not go well with the casino, and then I went and tried to talk to them in person before I posted on social media. I did go have a conversation that was dismissed. Then I was pissed, and perhaps encouraged by people to explain like how fucked up it was. Now I know better. Once it leaves your mouth, as my dad always said, you have no idea where it's going to end up and you can't take it back. I suffered repercussions that we will not go into. But I was just telling the truth. It wasn't an opinion of a person. I didn't name them. I mean, it was more that this is acceptable. Like, this is how you treat someone that's like been loyal to you, brought you God knows how much business over the years.
The difference between how we addressed it are so different because I posted the email from the hotel. It had her name, her phone number. I went balls out attacking this place because what they did was wrong. And it worked.
I know, but if like
yours wasn't that bad, I was like,
But the amount of
the repercussions
have been very, substantial.
Right.
That I sometimes forget that people actually follow my life, and having been in the public eye for 7 years now, you can't say stuff like that. And even if that's how you feel, you're held to a different standard. If that's your job, that's your integrity. That's like, your meal ticket in life is like being a good person and being positive. It's not really viewed as like someone that people are going to want to work with if you attack or even state the truth about a business. And this was something that, I know better, okay. But like, nonetheless, I did it. And everyone's like, were you drunk? No, I was not drunk. I was completely sober but sleep deprived.
Right.
And like, just upset. And I was really proud of myself at the time that I stood up for myself, because I don't do that, much less publicly.
Right.
But I think when you have such severe consequences, you wish you could take it back. I made a joke about the apology in my true fashion of a person, like, because that's all I can do. You can't say like, oh, I take it back. It happened.
Right.
It's not like it was an opinion.
Right.
So I think that, when we put our lives out there and living our authentic lives, putting a lot of facts out there isn't really good for me a lot of the time.
See, but I won't stop.
She won't.
So this is where our lives could take different paths, because I'm going to say what I feel and what happens. I will post emails from hotels. And the whole Uber thing. They made it right, like really fast, because they fucked me over. And it was the driver, not the company. So I was able to okay, I don't have to talk shit. Uber made it right. And I sent the text message, I got a refund. It was really fast. So as a company, I'm happy with that. But I was going to, look.
Do you know who I am? Like, let me show you.
Hey, hashtag.
Fuck you.
But no, and I won't stop. And I think it's my personality, it's my business too. I'm an investigator. I'm gonna get to the facts and I'm gonna point them out.
See, and that's the thing is, like, I am the same way. I just do it behind the scenes much more. Because I fought a lot of battles. Because one of my friends that was supposed to come on today, she had food poisoning, but she's a waxer. I quit my job teaching last year because of what the school district did to her over principal. You know, like, that is, like, so I wanted to have her come on, like, literally, like, I was like, what they're doing to you is wrong. I went to the superintendent, like, everybody. They then said that the little children deserve the treatment they got. And I was like, I'm not teaching, like, anymore. Like, I'm done. I walk out the door. Like, that was it, because that's my character. Now, I don't post such things on social media because everyone was like, what the fuck is wrong with you constantly? That you go around, like, doing these things out of principle and integrity.
I guess I would draw the line at schools. I mean, there's a school in Carmichael that actually there's one in Rockland too.
Okay,
but I guess that's where I would draw the line of like for a school I wouldn't, because there's so many like lives.
But like what they did was so wrong to these kids. They played in puddles and they were like they decided to do full inclusion with no prep for the gen ed teachers. And this is like TKK first, second grade. Like I went back for like a very short stint, and they were playing in the puddles. And my friend was now their one-on-one. Well, they were runners and they don't speak; they're nonverbal, and they played in puddles. And so I got after. Recess, and she's holding both of them by hand, and they're like soaking wet, and it had been raining. And I'm like, okay, well, we need to get them a change of clothes. I'll take them to the office, thinking that was the right thing to do. The superintendent of special ed, the principal, all of the higher ups of the district are in there, and it was like, hey, we need to call their parents. They're like, no, they can just sit in their wet clothes and learn their lesson. Okay, they're 6 years old, and they're on the severe spectrum of autism. What lesson are they gonna learn? And I went to blows about this, and then I had all the teachers write letters and give them to my company that the district's practice was that this is acceptable. They made them sit there for an hour in wet clothes.
Wow.
And I just couldn't be a part of that. And then I was supposed to be covering it up because one of the moms was paralegal. And so my friend, got screwed. I just had met her, but I was like, I can't be a part of this. I refuse to lose my teaching credentials and like everything I worked over for something like that. So what would you have done?
I'm confused what the parents, because if I was a parent, I would have gone in there and lost my shit.
And that's the part I didn't want to deal with the repercussions of that parent, because I knew damn well what would happen. I was like, I can't come back. Because like I knew I would tell the parent the truth. Because that's me. That's my character. And I'd be like, what they did is so wrong. And I went up there. And, I mean, at the end of the day, that's my character. And I knew damn well, like, everything I had to lose. So I was like, peace out. I gotta go. So that's always been the difficulty for me, is, like, the character part of things versus the fun party girl. Like, the things that go on behind the scenes that I do to help people or, like, stand up for principle are the reason my parents hate me. Like... Literally, that's the part that they like cannot ever accept, that I would go to blows and like quit a job over something like that. They would have just said, keep your mouth shut. You gotta be good, you need a paycheck.
Yeah, I'm not built that way either. I mean, I don't think either of us are good at just
sucking it up, like. But that's authenticity versus like the right thing. And I think that's a constant battle with our lives on social media and like the way the world works, is if you stand up for something, you have to be willing to deal with the consequences.
And I was willing. I mean,
she was willing.
Again, I think that's why, it's getting the truth and the facts, and I think that is why, I'm a good private investigator, because I don't give up until...
And then I know the world I work in for my, like, you can't do that. Because you'll never be employed again. Because I found that out this school year, but that's a whole other story. Like, doing the right thing isn't the right thing a lot of the time. And that sucks. In the world we live in. So, like, we talk about doing the right thing all the time. Like, we see social media posts, people always talk about, do the right thing. How does that work out for all those people? I mean... I don't know. Just put it out there, like you're talking about your daughter in juvenile hall, like doing the right thing. You called.
I called. I mean, I even brought her punk ass to Kaiser. She was 17, and I told her, let's just go get you detoxed off of drugs. She was like, okay, fine, whatever. And once I got her there in the bed, they put her in the psych ward because I was like, she's gonna fight you. She's gonna try to run. So they put her in the psych ward part, and then when she was there, I was like, look, she's a drug addict. I want to have her put away somewhere. She's a minor. They're like, no. I'm like,
no.
They're like, as at 13 is where they're considered, where they can make their own decisions. Her decision is to be a 17-year-old junkie. Really? You're going to support that? They're like, well, there's nothing we can do. So.
And see, that's when, so you have to go to extreme measures then.
I called the cops on her several times. I left her ass outside of juvenile hall one time.
And see, there you go. This is a principled show.
Right, because, they arrest her, they're like, well, we're going to release her to you. I was like, oh, hell no, no. Until she's ready to live life right, she's not getting in my car. So her and her little bestie walked away, and sorry. But
when we live our lives like that, like off camera or away from things, like, we're willing to deal with the consequences, like your daughter, like, being upset with you or not forgiving you.
She hated me.
Exactly, but you did the right thing. So, just so you all know, we do the right things a lot of the time, but don't talk about them, I guess. Because that's negative on our careers, that we would have, like, a line.
I'm not on Facebook and Instagram, so my daughter was a teenage junkie. I'm not doing that. I'll talk about it here because it's different.
Yeah.
It's not...
I know, but you want, like, I'm posting about the assembly bill and stuff and like that. Like that's, like, to me, it's a principled thing I did. Of, like, this is how the system has fucked me over. I don't want this to happen to anybody else. Like, that's not a really good narrative for the people that worked at the compensation board, who I told at the time, I will make sure that everyone knows what you did, and you will not get away with it. Right. So, I don't make threats. Just saying. And that's the thing, like, that went on behind the scenes. I didn't talk about that publicly. No one even knew what was going on. Mm-hmm. But I made damn sure that, at the end of the day, I will make sure if you wrong me in that way, you pay for it. I just do it quietly, I suppose. And with paperwork and, like, a lot of support and money behind it. If you're going to go to Plus, best way to go. Right. You got money. We'll see what happens. So, alrighty then, friends. This has been another episode of the Sexcapade Chronicles. Thank you guys so much for following us. And until next time, have a great day. Bye.